Since solar stocks have been taking a big beating recently, I'm going to just go over the TAN ETF and some of the stocks within the TAN ETF just to see if solar stocks are, in fact, near a bottom. So here's the TAN ETF here. It's pulled up here on the weekly chart, and I have the GAN pulled up since the low here back in 2012. And we can see how symmetrical it has really been, right? Over time, this is the 45-degree angle right here. And we can see over time that it has been very important, and it has been resistance ever since here back in 2016. And it was resistance here when it met the arcs and there, but then it broke above and it just shot up directly to the blue level, tried to break out, but it failed. And this 45 was support for some time from 2020 until 2021 in December or even early January of 2022. And then it broke to resistance again. And ever since then, it went back to test the arcs and it confirmed it as resistance right here in September of 2022. And what did price do? Well, since it lost that support, it's going to gravitate down to the next support area. And where is that? Exactly, we are basically approaching that area right now. And the important thing that we can see right now is this blue angle right here is the next support area, right? We can see through time right here, it was support, and then it flipped to resistance, and then back to support. And then during COVID, it wicked through the support, but it held very quickly. So we'll consider that as support too. And it's back there right now. So let's zoom into that and we can take a look. Right, so it opened the week above it. And could it stay above? If it continues down, maybe it'll get down to the orange level. But it could also just be a wick and close back above this blue angle. But let's look at the importance of this orange level here, right? So we go back in time, we can see clearly that here since 2013, it was a support, and then a resistance, and then it lost the support again and became a resistance and was a resistance here, right? There were some candles that went through it, but it was a resistance because it was only a temporary amount of time. So I believe that would be the ultimate support for the TAN ETF, which would be around 37.40, right? So if this 39 level doesn't hold through the weekly close, we could see it drift down a few more bucks down to the 37 level. And let's add on some confluences here of the SMAs and the Ichimoku, and we'll just see what's happening here. So yeah, we can see it's been in a clear downtrend for a long time now, right? From the very top, really, back here since 2021. It's just been in a downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. But what we can see now is the base is starting to form, right? The lower lows are not getting so low anymore. So this is the lower low. Then this lower low was just a little bit below that one. And if this one goes a little bit below that one, that could be down to the 37. So this is kind of what a bottoming process looks like. And it looks pretty close to being to that bottom based off of this orange line. And we can see the baseline and the conversion line and the cloud. So it's below every single indicator. And those indicators sit up here around maybe 44.54 or 44.38 for that. So if price did rebound, there's still going to be some resistance above here. And then more resistance with the 50-week moving average here at 47.45. And then even more resistance with the top of the cloud. So lots of confluence of resistance, but we also have lots of confluence in this zone for support going back in time, right? We can see that clearly. So the risk reward of buying this as a possible bottom is pretty much in your favor now. So if this does hold this angle, we'll have to wait till the Friday weekly candle close. But if that does hold, that's even better strength than coming back down to this angle here, or this level here. But either way, even if it's 39 or 37, that's not too big of a difference to start buying this ETF in hope that it's going to turn around and recover, right? So let's go take a look at some of the individual stocks within the TAN ETF. And the largest stock within the TAN ETF is First Solar. And I have First Solar pulled up here on the weekly chart, and I have the Gann square pulled up here from the low of 2012. And this one is very important because you can see how really important each level is, right? This orange level right here, it back tested it as support numerous times. The last time was in 2020 during COVID. But then it made its way up to the blue level, and the blue level was also important for some time. And we can see that once it retested this 45-degree angle, which was also important, that price just kept going higher and higher after that. And sure enough, it went to the green level, right? And the green level has been important. And recently, what do we see with First Solar? It went directly up with this bullish engulfing candle, went and touched the arc as resistance as it should, and now it's just making its way back down to the green level. And if we look at that, we can see exactly that it's around 209, 210 or so. But it's a zone, right? We can see that sometimes price went above it and sometimes price went below it, right? So it could go to from 210 maybe all the way down to the high 190s or so, right? But the bottom line is it's at the next level, which it looks like it's trying to flip this level to support. So it looks like it's almost at a support level. It's almost at a new demand zone, and it looks like it could be forming a new base in this area for a continuation higher. Now, if we put on the confluence of the Ichimoku and the SMAs, we can see that there is more confluence around that zone, right? Currently, it's holding support of the baseline, which is right now at 221.32. So today it did wick below it a little bit, right down in the 217s, or even the 217.26 I think was the low today. So yeah, this is holding that support. So maybe it won't even get there yet, but it could wick a little bit further just to see, right? But this is looking like a very bullish chart, especially it's breaking out, right? It made a higher high from this May 2023 high right here, and now it's just back testing that range before it broke out, right? So this is a very positive development. This is not a bearish chart at all. The Ichimoku cloud is also green. It's still above the cloud, so there's nothing bearish about this chart. And we can see here that all the moving averages right here, the 50, the 100, and 200, they're all upward sloping, and they're all way down here, and price is well above that too. So this is looking like the new demand zone, maybe from the current price all the way down to the high 190s. But the risk reward, as it gets closer to this level, it looks better and better. So I would not be afraid of this stock falling too much further, because there is looking like a floor should be found in this zone in the near future. And the next stock within the TAN ETF that is actually its second largest holding, we can see that on the weekly chart from the bottom here in May 2017, that price has just accelerated from less than $1 all the way up to the highs here above $300 a share. So it's had a monster run, and now it's just doing kind of what Tesla has been doing since the top, just trending down, right? From 2022, it's just been trending down, and we can see the levels here very, very clearly, right? So the orange level, it just did a bullish engulfing candle and never looked back, right? And then what we see here now is that this blue level was hit perfectly here in January of 2021, and then it came down to the arcs right here. This arc was support for a while, and then it just shot up. Like this angle held as support right here, and then it just shot up to go above the arc, but it could not hold, and then it lost the angle, and it lost the level, and it lost the arc as support. And we can see right here really when that happened, right here in April of 2023, this bearish engulfing candle of a 26% down week is when it really all fell apart. And then that was confirmation that everything is going to flip to resistance. And sure enough, you can see that here with this back test up here of the arc, and it was resistance right here, right? And since then, it just had to go to the next support level. And where was that next support level? Well, it was this bottom arc, right? We can see in the past that this arc was really, really important. And then it did that, right? It did exactly that. And this is kind of similar to what Tesla did as well. So now it's gravitating back to the top of the arc. And we saw this a few weeks ago where it did hit the top of the arc right here. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see that that candle did in fact It hit 141.63. It did wick exactly to the top of the arc and really confirm it as resistance again, right? And now price is trending down again, but is price going to come down to retest the arc again? Probably not. And the reason why is because it's kind of doing what Tesla is doing. This top arc is trying to flip back to support. And we can see back here that this bottom arc was already confirmed resistance like many times. Right here, once, twice, even 3 times, it confirmed it as a support. So since this bottom arc is already support, there's really no need for it to come back down to these levels here in the 50s or high 60s or 50s or whatever, right? There's really no need because price should gravitate towards this top arc now because it should become a magnet because eventually it's going to flip back to support and work its way higher and higher back to this blue level around 220 or so, right? We can see that's very similar with Tesla. You can go back and watch my Tesla videos just to see how price gravitates like a magnet towards certain arcs after support has been found. Now, if we put on the confluence of the Ichimoku and the SMAs, we can clearly see also more confluence of what happened in that zone. Why did price get rejected? Well, it was trying to break the 50-week moving average here, and it did for a few weeks in a row. But then we saw a clear resistance here, and this ugly candle was kind of a reason why it lost everything, right? This weekly candle close here was very significant because of this long wick. It just indicates lots of sellers. And then the following week, it just lost all those levels again. And now what is it doing? It's retesting levels right here before, right? And even if we go back in time further, we can see this is a support level as well with all these weekly candles in that zone as well. Now, if we go to a linear scale chart, because this is log scale, let me just show you some things on end phase real quick that match up with these levels. Now, this is the weekly end phase chart with the Gann box now. It has more angles, upward sloping and downward sloping, but we can clearly see that this level right here, this orange level, was a major resistance, right? And this is kind of lines up with that arc, right there, right? We can see why it got rejected for many reasons. Like this orange line, this upward sloping and this downward sloping was a confluence of events right here that price will probably not break through. And sure enough, it didn't. And now it's going down to these gray angles here. And this one lost as support. And now this one's losing as support. But the week is not over yet. It could come wick down and just be a wick and then close back up. We're not sure, right? So we need to pay attention to that. We need to keep our eye on that. But we can see one thing, how this upward sloping angle was a support level, which kind of means that this downward sloping angle, when we look right here, see at the very top left, we can see it's support here. It was support with this candle right here, and we come down, then it was resistance right here, then it was resistance here, and then resistance, resistance, and then it was a support down here. All right, so price could come back down to this angle and retest it, maybe around $88 or $87 or so. And if that happens, I think that could be the angle of support. And so this area from current price all the way down to 88 probably would be a good buy for a future. So it does look like it's nearing a bottom as well. I don't think it's going to come back down to these angles right here because there's solid support with these levels right here. And when we look to the left of the chart, we can go back in time and we can see this big demand zone right here. So price probably will not need to come all the way back down to these levels, right? So this is probably going to be the support zone right down here around the 88, 87, 86. And I don't think price will need to come back down to these levels at all. So it looks like end phase is also nearing a bottom. We saw perfectly why resistance was hit. So it's just a matter of time before price finds its higher low from this low and then makes its way higher and higher, but it looks like the risk reward is getting more and more in your favor. And next we will do Sunrun, RUN. So this is pulled up on the weekly chart from the low back in 2016 here, and we also can see how symmetrical it has been. And if we look at each level, how important it was, right? The orange level going all the way across, that was very important, and it was a support and resistance zone for a long time. And then it shot up to directly the blue level and this angle sloping up right here. And we can see why resistance was found. And this blue level, once it was lost right here, it confirmed it as support or resistance. It confirmed it as resistance right here once and resistance twice, even touching the top arc to confirm that everything is going to go lower. And sure enough, it did. It went back down to the orange arc, back up to confirm this bottom arc as resistance, and then lost this 45 here, right here, in May of 2023, back to the orange level as support. Then it confirmed this 45-degree angle as resistance once and twice. And then we can see price was battling a long time this orange level, and it finally lost it as support, right? It came back up, tried to break above with this bullish engulfing, but that was just a fake out. And then now this orange level is resistance again. We can see that right here with this confirmation wick, right? Right up to this orange level. But where is price headed to now? Well, it's going exactly right back down to this blue level, this blue angle. And that could be around $10.30. Could it wick below back to this arc below? Yes, it could. Back down to the 880s or so, but that would still be a higher low from here, right? So we're approaching a really big demand zone right here, a big support zone right here from this angle, maybe about 1030 all the way down to maybe like 880 or so. So this is the demand zone, this is the buy zone for future price, but it's also looking like it's nearing a bottom. But this blue angle could hold because we can see, even going back in time here, it was important, right? It wicked down to the blue, even below it a little bit. But we can see that a back test of that blue angle kind of was necessary since the very beginning of time. And now it finally has once, twice, three times. And this could be the fourth time a back test, right? And if that holds, then there'll be a continuation higher back up to the orange level. And I believe eventually that orange level will get flipped to support. And once it gets flipped to support, then it will go higher and higher. But the confluence is, it's looking like it's near support. But if we add on the SMAs and the Ichimoku, we can see that it's 100% bearish on all those indicators. It's below all the SMAs, it's below the Ichimoku, and it's below the conversion line and the baseline and the 50-week as well. So we can see where the massive resistance is going to lie in the future. It's going to lie in this area right here from the $13 range all the way up to the $15 range. But we know where support is in this area, and we know where resistance is going to be. So like I always say, buy support and sell resistance. And the last one I'm going to choose within the TAN ETF is Canadian Solar, CSIQ. And we can see that from the bottom here in 2012 on the weekly chart, we can still see how symmetrical everything has been. And starting with this orange level right here back in 2013, it was important. Then the orange arcs were important. Back to the orange level again, very important. Back to the arcs again, back to the orange, very important. Then the 45-degree angle was starting to be important all the way up, right? It was a support, then a resistance, and then tried to be a support, but then it failed. So once it failed the 45 is when really the downtrend really accelerated. We can see that it even came up, almost confirmed it as resistance, but then it trended lower and lower and lower. And since there was no support around this area, it had to drift to the lowest support area, which now is going back to the orange level. And that orange level sits around 1330. And we can see 1330 going back in time, how important that level really is. So is it approaching a demand zone, a buy zone? Yes, it really is. So this blue angle, it did not hold as support, but that's okay. It's just making one extra crashing structure down here to find its ultimate low for a possible continuation higher. And if we add the confluence of the SMA and the Ichimoku, we can still see that it's 100% bearish as well. Everything is sloping down. It's below the cloud, below the baseline, below the conversion line. But what the good news is, we see where support is. We see it right here, going back in time. So we know where support is, and we know where resistance starts, and it's going to start with the conversion line here at $17.48, and then it's going to be in this big zone up here, all the way up to the top of the cloud into the 20s, right? So like I always say, buy support, sell resistance. So it's looking like most of these solar stocks within the TAN ETF are approaching a bottom. Some are not there yet, but it's getting into that zone, so it's just a little bit more patience, and it looks like things could be a great opportunity to start to accumulate these solar stocks for a little push higher and higher.